real early this morning. My day has changed because it's raining and thundering, but I did get the trash out at 4 a.m. this morning, so we're good there. And so it looks like I'm sticking inside today, my day off. So I'm gonna clean the house, do some dang dishes or whatever. We'll see. And I decided since I missed my Sunday night, I'm gonna jump in now and we're close, folks. Like all the macro events are lining up. The only thing holding this whole unwind and the whole and everything I see, what's holding it back is entities with their thumbs on the scale for all these charts on the screen. These are not reflecting reality. This is not what is actually happening on this planet in the markets right now. Something, well, we see what's happening in Japan, what they've been doing over the last, all these interventions, hundreds of billions of dollars. Like if Japan was just gonna, if they bought, oil, if they bought crude instead of trying to keep up their fiat currency, they could have bought over 10 years worth of strategic petroleum reserve, SPR, had 10 years worth. And, in the next month or two, maybe this week, there's going to be a huge historic spike in oil prices, and Japan could have sold 5 years of that 10-year reserve back, and then intervened in their market. That would have dropped the yen per USD down to like 75, like the strongest in history ever. So with that simple tactic, everything could have got fixed. Japan didn't do that, and also the U.S. didn't do that because now we're jumping in trying to help them. So that means they're not trying to fix the current problem. Because if they did that, then the problem still exists. So the currency would have ramped back up like we're seeing now. It keeps ramping back up because they're not fixing the problem, they're delaying the inevitable. And the inevitable is they take their thumbs off the scales of these charts and oil gaps up, like historic gap, like you got to blink a couple times because you don't think the numbers and the commas and the zeros are right. Like we're going to be well over 20,000 yen per barrel. We were at 19,000 almost when they had a strategic petroleum reserve and the Strait of Hormuz was still open, and El Mandeb was still open. We were at 19,000 back then, and it's way worse. And global reserves are way lower, historically low, and we're just sitting around like everything's okay. And obviously, it's a lie. These charts do not reflect reality. They are not pricing in what is currently happening on this planet in the oil markets, the energy markets. But that's okay. These charts are for normies. They are not for us. They are not. Geez, sorry. They are not for the people who research, who see through. They're not for the conscious advancing beings. They are for the spoon fed, you know, I don't want to insult everybody, but they're for a select. These charts are for the masses, the 99% that most likely will never, throughout all of history, lived and died and never got a clue in their life. But that is their choice. So I'm choosing something different. Oh, I could hear my phone in the kitchen. The alarm's going off. I hear the vibration. Sorry about that. Man, I love morning storms. Like, there's something different about it's just raining in the morning and the lightning while the sun rises. Like, there's something to that there. There has to be a word for it. I know there's a word for the smell of rain. I can't remember that. But, anyways, so that's what an intervention looks like. They're saying that's, maybe 70 to $100 billion. That this little, and that's 64 to 58, so a couple percentages, a couple percent down, that represents almost 10 years, maybe, like, let's say 5 to 10 years worth of strategic petroleum reserve for Japan. They could have been energy independent of all the global markets for 10 years if they wanted. They didn't want to be energy independent and lock in oil prices for 10 years. So now we're coming back up. And you see all that happening. And it's a sticky ceiling. It always goes up because they're not fixing the problem. They're just throwing fiat currency at the wall, and that doesn't fix the fiat currency problem. Like they say, they're just kicking the can. That's all they're doing. But I was doing a little AI assisted research this morning, and you guys gonna get bright. Y'all know me. I'm Evernorth. And like I was saying, my safe word is Evernorth. We're gonna experience a violent rotation. All these charts, because they are actively being faked and they're actually not reflecting reality. When the people producing these charts let take their thumbs off the scales, it's going to be a violent rotation of liquidity. Like the spikes we're about to see have never been seen throughout all of recorded history since the Younger Dryas 11,000 years ago. These spikes have not been seen. They're going to have to adjust the charts to show the tops of these spikes and prices and the lows of these spikes in strategic reserves. We're going to the extremes of every market. Very high when it's bad and very low when it's bad. Like, all the bad it's going to the very extreme. A violent rotation very soon. Very soon. Everything's whistling, everything's steaming, everything's rattling. Like, if this was a car, we'd be down to like two wheels in the front, and the two back wheels are flat. One of them actually fell off. The muffler fell off. The radiators, blowing steam out. All your windows rattled and they broke. Like, windshield wipers are stuck halfway up the windshield. Like, red lights flashing in the inside. Like, it's here. Like, the can has been kicked. And I kind of laid out what I see as not a timeline, of course, but kind of a timeline, like, due to events. And I kind of laid out what I think is gonna, right here. This is what it's gonna look like. So, repatriation, that's the reverse carry trade. That's everyone who borrowed the cheap money from Japan and invested it in real estate and anything. They're going to have to sell whatever they bought. And there's like a little side note that's just entered my mind, but I was thinking about it yesterday, that at the same time, the violent rotation in liquidity happens. And so anybody who bought who borrowed yen and bought anything, they're going to have to sell their real estate. So that's going to pop the real estate. It's going to be the everything, but every market's getting a haircut, like 30 to 50% down. So what I'm thinking is that's going to affect the real estate, the housing market. That's going to pop, bring it way down. And at the same time, something is going to have to absorb. Then we go to consolidation. Let me skip that now. Go to liquidity sinks. Something is going to have to be there to catch all the liquidity. Like if it's water, you're going to have to put some buckets down to catch that leaky water. But it's not going to be a leak. It's going to be, what's it, a sphere, Dad? Dang it. Sphere drop. See if it'll get me. Sphere drop, no. Sphere drop. Sphere drop. A sphere drop. SVERDRUP. It's a geological term. It's 1 million cubic meters per second. So they were trying to measure ocean currents, and they didn't have a big enough unit to measure it. So they came up with the sphere drop. And my arbitrary definition is, it's 1,000 tsunamis. Like, just a tsunami is not big enough to describe what we're measuring here. So we need something that defines 1,000 tsunamis. That's how violent this rotation of liquidity is going to be. It's going to be thousands of tsunamis. And we're going to need a massive bucket to catch this. Or every single system, every society and system collapses at once. Or we build something that has deep liquidity, a giant bucket that will catch all this, the sphere drop of liquidity, like thousands of tsunamis worth of liquidity flowing. And I think we built that. I think we have built that. So and I did a lot of posts this morning, and so I did this is the way it looks like. So I did this is the repatriation post. I did a post before this on the consolidation, but they're all they're all chapters of the same book, and they'll happen. They all have to be in order for the whole planet not to collapse. And I'll jump to the end, like the implied assumption I'm saying in here. I don't come out and say it, but for all of this to happen, for the liquidity sinks to function properly, you have to have a big bucket. You have to have a deep liquidity pool, a digital asset treasury that's underlying asset has to have a high and stable floor price, not a fixed price, but a floor price. And global liquidity has no place to go. This thousands of tsunamis are just circling the globe. They keep hitting everything. Nothing is safe. It's an everything bubble. And that means energy gets disrupted. Every supply chain gets disrupted. Everything gets disrupted unless we could funnel this liquidity into something as a shock absorber, as a deep liquidity pool. And then it's like that car example where everything's just busted on it, but then all of a sudden you zoom out and you realize it's on the back of a flatbed truck. So it's not really, do you know what I mean? It's being carried. There's something carrying it. So every system is busted. Fiat has infected and corrupted every global system and domestic system and local system. It's all, whatever fiat touches is completely corrupted. And my definition, it's evil. If it harms people, it's evil. That's an easy definition. So fiat is evil. And it's worthless. It has no intrinsic value. It's inflationary, which means your purchasing power always goes down. You got to keep working harder to purchase less. That's the whole point of fiat, is to run you raw, run you into the ground. It's hopelessness incarnate. Fiat is hopelessness incarnate. We're moving away from that finally. And the liquidity sinks, and the liquidity sinks, if they're big enough, if the bucket's big enough to catch this sphere drop, these thousands of tsunamis, the bucket has to be big. And if it does, it's going to cause a supply shock in whatever asset is used as the liquidity sink. That asset is going to be hoovered up. It's going to be hungry, hippoed up by regulated entities. Regulated entities like Evernorth, and the tsunami will start in Japan. And so I say, once these oil charts price in reality, the resulting it's a violent rotation. There has never seen anything like this. Spike will set off a chain reaction starting in Japan. There has never been the leverage in the system, like the coiling of the spring that we're all sitting on. Every system on this globe is a coiled spring because of fiat and leverage and just intentional managed decline has been coiling the spring for decades, and I'd say a century or so. 1913, that's an important date. I'd say the spring started coiling then. And it can't be held back much longer. But good news, everyone. I think there is a plan, and I think I know at least the broad strokes of the plan, and the such. So let me see really quick. So yeah, repatriation. Currencies go back to their country of origin, sovereign currencies. So the yen reverse carry trade in Japan, the yen will have to come back because they're going to have to raise their interest rates because of a global oil spike. When these charts start reflecting reality, and the chart makers, the fiat holders, take their thumbs off the scale of their fake economy, and it starts reflecting reality, that's the repatriation. That's the reverse carry trade. And then the consolidation, let's actually go there. We'll come back to here. But this is like this is the repatriation part. This is the whole scenario. And we got to go into violent rotation. My safe word is Evernorth. We're going to go into right here. Well, this is important too. Remember, XRP, hint, already has global clarity. The Clarity Act is a domestic U.S. issue. The world, the entire globe, is already on the field and already in the game. The U.S. is watching from the sidelines. We are benched for now. Where? Yes. Okay. So the liquidity repatriation. There's one before that, though. Yes, the great consolidation. So there's a liquidity repatriation, which causes the great consolidation. So these are all, it's almost an Ouroboros, like it's almost a snake eating its tail, like a cycle. But I think I got the timeline in sense of like, not chronologically, but like the order of events, the macro events, not like dates and times. But chronologically in the sense of the order that the events will happen. And the repatriation, oil spike, repatriation, consolidation. So the consolidation of assets, it won't be like a decision like which one do I like. It'll be a decision of, because now energy supply chains are disrupted. Countries do not have enough oil right now to make it through the winter. Europe, not enough energy supply to get through the winter. They do not have it right now. And it's getting worse. Countries that do not produce oil, we're going to go Fortress America. I did a couple of videos ago. I did a one on Fortress America. We're energy producers. We're the global net exporter of oil right now. It's the US. And we're draining our Strategic Petroleum Reserve, our SPR. We're draining Cushing, Oklahoma. There's going to become a point. I had it last week, but until the 15th. From the 5th to the 15th is what I had it. That the DOE is going to make an announcement saying we're done exporting. It's a national emergency, strategic national reserve, Homeland Security. We have to do Fortress America. We have to put America first, and we cannot export oil to countries anymore. Imagine that spike off the charts. I mean, that's still not live. We're going to hit this to 20,000 yen per barrel easy. And then eventually it's going to, that's $150 to $200 a barrel. But then we could go $500 to $1,000 a barrel because fiat is crashing and there's no amount of fiat, like wheelbarrows of fiat you could just throw at somebody that will still not get you a barrel of oil because we're not producing oil. So no amount of fiat could magically make a barrel of oil appear. That's how worthless fiat is. It's not real. Fiat only works if somebody else is actually doing the work, and fiat represents work. But it does no work of its own. Saudi Arabia, the last of the ships they sent have made their docks and the oil was taken off. They are exporting zero, literally zero oil from Saudi Arabia. And these charts are saying that's fine. Saudi Arabia 100% cutting off oil exports has no effect on the global oil exports. That's what these charts say. Saudi Arabia just off the map, not producing, has no effect on the production of oil. That's what these charts are saying. 100% a lie. It is a lie. It is fake and false. It does not reflect reality. But it will. It will. And that's the consolidation. That's the repatriation. That's the historic spikes like you have never seen in your life. The haircuts, the stock market will dip greater than the Great Depression. Like we are wound up. The leverage is more than the Great Depression. It seems we don't learn our lesson in fiat. Some of us do. Some of us learn lessons. Ooh, it's rumbly outside. Like the sun's coming up and it's lightning outside. It's raining. Like there's something special about that. Like a thunderstorm when it's snowing, like lightning snow. Like there's just something special about that. Like scary special, but I like it. So, okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna talk about the repatriation of sovereign currencies after this, because that the spike in oil, the repatriation, that's the reverse carry trade, and that's gonna trigger a consolidation, or what I call the flight to quality. You're gonna have we're gonna have to find some place to store value, because there will be nothing. Nothing that is infected by fiat can store value. So something's gonna have to happen. We're gonna need a bucket to catch all this liquidity. There's thousands of tsunamis of liquidity coming, a sphere drop of liquidity coming. And we're going to need an enormous bucket, a deep liquidity pool. So the market will see a bifurcation. Only assets with established ETFs, because what I started this research on was you'll see a lot of people. That's actually, I should go to that. Let me go to that really quick. Dang. I guess I had a process this morning. Oop, pop, beep, pop, boop, pop, boop. That's what started me on it. So Grayscale just withdrew their Cardano, their Hedera, and their Polkadot trust ETFs. Just pulled them off. Okay, it's not time. TMTG with MCGA, Make Chronos Great Again, and Crypto.com stopped their the MCGA deep digital asset treasury. Pulled that, and there's more. And I felt like I posted. Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, it is the Great Consol. I was already here. Okay, let's start with this last one. Or no, let's start with this one. No, let's start with this one. Yes. So there's a quick summary. All right. Oh man, watch this chart. I got a ton of laundry to do today, and I can't miss a step. And the laundry just stopped, so I gotta do that really quick. I apologize. All right, I'm on load. Uh-oh. I think I might be recording still. Um, I gotta do something if I'm still recording. I don't know what the heck happened. I'm checking my audio. Okay, I think I'm still recording. I'm checking my audio on my headphones. Dumb crap. All right, don't know what the heck happened. That'll teach you to do laundry during a live stream. But I'm on laundry load number 3. So, and then what is it? 6:50 a.m. Let's go. So we're in the great consolidation. Um, Entities are pulling their ETFs because they missed the cutoff. If you, I can't remember the date, but if you had your ETF filed before a certain date, there's a streamlined process through the SEC to get it going. So anybody who comes later than that, you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna go down a bumpy road compared to the ones I had earlier. So Bitwise, Trump Media, that's TMTG, Grayscale, so the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Crypto.com, Blue Chip. They should have said Crow. Oh, Crypto Blue Chip. Maybe that's they're talking about the DAT, the Digital Asset Treasury, MCGA. Uh, Bitwise, Bitcoin and Ethereum, Cardano, Hedera, and Polkadot, all getting pulled just because of the climate right now. To me, that's what started me looking into it. Like, okay, this is the great consolidation. This is the voluntary, the consensual consolidation. There's about to be a violent rotation that's non-consensual, and so these people are front running it to avoid the catastrophe later. They're running away from risk assets and they'll probably be running towards something else, or the Berkshire Hathaway, and just sitting on a stockpile of cash waiting. Because like what I was saying before, I know I'm all over the place. There's tons of stuff I'm trying to get out, and it's like an Ouroboros. It's all related, and it's all connected to each other. So I'm having trouble like laying it out. But so I decided to go. This is happening now. Grayscale, TMTG, Bitwise, they're all pulling their ETFs off the market, their S1 filings, because they missed the cutoff point for the smooth road, and they're going to be on the bumpy road. And what I see is the everything bubble will pop, and that's repatriation, the yen back to Japan. So that's the offloading of U.S. Treasuries, and that'll affect the stock market because that's what people bought with the easy money from Japan, and the housing market that will dip 30 to 50% at the same time. A certain asset will have to have a high and steady floor price, not a fixed price, a floor price, a big enough bucket. So those who've been paying attention and did the flight to quality early might be ready to enter the real estate market after the haircut. So you're getting, properties 50% off, something like that. I don't even know what the crash is going to be, but biggest in history. So people and entities like Berkshire Hathaway sitting on $400 billion, just waiting for something. And we've seen in the news that they spent $30 on Google and stuff like that, but so $370 just sitting on it, waiting for something. And that something, that's what I'm trying to explain to myself, and I'm doing it live so some people could see it, and then later on I could revisit it. Maybe write a book about it. We'll see. I like writing books. So they're saying, it's classification limbo. We don't have the Clarity Act, but that's just a U.S. domestic issue. XRP has global clarity. Most of these countries are in the game, scoring goals. Well, the U.S. is on the sidelines We're benched right now. The US is not participating in the new global finance. The switches aren't on yet. Like, the game hasn't started, but all other teams are on the field, and the United States is still in the locker room trying to find our helmet or something. Like, we're not even allowed on the field. The rest of the world is, because XRP has global clarity, just not in the US. All right, so that's happening. So you're seeing a consolidation. The market's it's weak right now. The liquidity is not there. It's not worth holding all the time and money and effort because of clarity on or regulation and ambiguity and other things and the like. But this is the start of the consolidation. Drip, drip, flood. This is the start of, we got thousands of digital asset tokens. And as liquidity tightens and the violent rotation begins, uh, tokens that do not have high utility, that do not have native real world asset capability, those tokens are going to just drop off. The liquidity is just going to get sucked out of them. They're going to dry up, which I'm predicting an extreme case of 5 to 10 main assets are left after this great consolidation. Imagine that. You go for like 99.9% of digital tokens. Like, just go on an exchange that offers crypto and just scroll through all the tokens. 99.9% of those will be gone, either acquired or liquidated or whatever, just gone. Not there. But there's things like Casper, which I like, CSPR, not financial advice, but I think they'll be acquired. I want them to get acquired by Hedera, and I want Hedera to be used for the veterans hospitals tokenization and smart contracts of the PHI, patient health information. That's what I want. I'm kind of betting on that, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen. That's what I want to happen. And because like Casper's not in the top 100, I think they're like 300 number the 300 on the list in volume or market cap or whatever they do, and they might not make it. I think they will. I think they'll get acquired, but we'll see. But 99.99% of tokens will be gone. I say this year we'll be left with 5 to 10 main ones. There'll be some stragglers and stuff like that. More than 5 to 10, maybe like 100 total, but 5 to 10 main ones. And that just by liquidity, not by market cap, not by whatever, by ability to absorb liquidity. Like, how big is your bucket? And choose wisely, my friends. And the timing is everything, but there's something else moving, man. That's what was bugging me with all this. Like, so I kept researching this morning, and this is just the very tip of the iceberg, the start of the start of this research, and but the great consolidation has started. If this was a movie, we're well over halfway. On our way to the third and final act. Like, it is happening. We're in the middle of it now. It's happening slower than we thought, so we're not really seeing it. But if you see sovereigns spending hundreds of billions of fiat for 2 or 3% corrections, that is desperation. And that correction is gone. Look at that. It's gone. Boop. Hundreds of billions. We got to zoom out a little bit more. So we're not, so I guess, sorry, this was 100 billion and now we're back up a little. And it was like, seven yen per USD. Like I said earlier, instead of spending $100 billion on this and it's just going to come back up because it's fiat and it always depreciates and it always inflates and you're always left broke and angry because fiat is demonic. Fiat is hopelessness incarnate. So instead of doing that 100 billion, they could have bought 10 years worth of oil supply. So like I did a post a couple days ago, maybe last week, like, so we are provably and demonstrably not trying to help humans. That's not what governments are there for. Governments are there to make sure governments are there. That's why I say about the HR and healthcare and the administrators. The administrator in a healthcare's number one job is to keep their job. That's their job, is to keep their job. The job of government is to make sure government has jobs. What is it? The bureaucracy is expanding to make room for the expanding bureaucracy. That's their job, not to help humans. This slide right here is proof that they're not helping humans. Japan's noodles are still expensive. Japan is still out of reserves, oil reserves. We did not fix it. So the great liquidity repatriation, it's happening because that's what the consolidation is, the clue that the repatriation is happening. In other words, the reverse carry trade in Japan is underway. It is happening right now. You got in the cartoons, you got the walls with, they got cracks in them and they're starting to spring a leak. And you got the governments, running back and forth, like sticking gum on the cracks and, then all of a sudden they got their fingers in the cracks and they try to put their toe in another crack. That's what's happening right now. But there'll be a sphere druff. Thousands of tsunamis are on their way to global markets. Liquidity will have a violent rotation. Something we have never seen before. That the leverage and the spring is coiled into every global market. It's an everything bubble. The Great Depression is nothing compared to what we're about to see. And if we don't have a bucket in place to catch this liquidity, all this liquidity flowing, if we don't have a large enough bucket to catch it, then it's going to circle the globe over and over and over again until all societies are destroyed. Every single supply chain, all energy, every institution completely destroyed by this fear druff, these thousands of tsunamis. If we don't have a bucket in place, that's what's happening this year. I think we have a bucket in place. I think we already have a bucket in place. It's just waiting to be activated. It's not activated yet. I think it's XRP. I think it's still a speculative, at its current price, it's a speculative asset, which is just a tiny little thimble bucket. It's just a bucket the size of a thimble. Cannot catch a tsunami with thimbles. Doesn't matter how many thimbles you have. XRP has to fundamentally change its role and go Super Saiyan from a thimble to a bucket the size of Texas to catch this fear druff, to catch these thousands of tsunamis. XRP has to go fundamentally change its role, which I think it will. So 90% of digital asset liquidity is concentrated in 5 to 10 tokens, with XRP serving as a critical nexus for trading pairs. It's a bridge for settlement, institutional settlement. Settlement demand, max. So you could read my tweets on all this. It's pretty good. It's pretty dang good. But just the liquidity repatriation, that's the reverse carry trade, is how it's looking this time. And this time when fiat crashes, because it crashes every time. Look through history, tons and tons of times fiat crashes every time, and they usually do a war to start up GDP and production and get liquidity flowing again. It's usually a war, a global war of some kind. And this time we could do it differently. We don't have to mass murder. Mass murder by government doesn't have to happen this time. We could, because we're going to switch away from fiat. We're going to switch away from hopelessness, from demonic fiat. It's possible this time. It's possible every time, but we keep choosing, war and death and hopelessness. There's a big group of us. A lot of them are attracted to XRP, that is not choosing hopelessness, despair, and demonic murder by government, democide. That's suicide by government. But there's a large group of us that are choosing life and asset based and the end of debt based slavery. Hey, I was making fun of me. I fat thumbed Japan as Japan, and it kept it. It knew what I was talking about, but it kept it Japan anyways. So we're just going to roll with Japan. So in this consolidated landscape, so the great consolidation happened. Liquidity dried up. So oil spiked at this point. Liquidity dried up. There's the violent rotation. Carry trade is underway. The tsunamis, you see them in the distance. They're rolling. They're coming towards you. And in a tsunami, if you're at the beach and a tsunami's coming, the water at the beach disappears. It gets pulled back into the ocean. And you see videos every time people are at the beach and they see the water disappear. And they're like, whoa, honey, look at that. Hey, kids, look at the water disappearing. The water got pulled back on the coastline. It got pulled back a mile or so. Ooh, look at it. Let's point at it. No, you run. You run to safe harbor. And you see all the videos, people are like, wow, the water disappeared of the ocean. It's gone. The whole coastline is gone. This is interesting. No, you run. Leave all your stuff, grab your kids, and run. That's what people with XRP are doing. We're seeing the coastline, the whole water at the beach disappear back into the system. We see that, and we are running. We're leaving all the old stuff, all the high risk stock markets, everything. We're leaving all that stuff behind. We're grabbing our family and heading to high ground, where XRP is the high ground. So as the Japan reverse carry trade unwinds, market participants seek assets with deep, non-correlated, so agnostic to countries, agnostic to the stock market, the everything bubble, AI. What else do we got? Retail, houses and stuff. Relative. What is that? It's an R word that's houses, not retail. Oh, my word is gone. I need more coffee. I'll think of it. It'll pop in. Everybody already knows it right now. It'll pop in my head. Market, the housing market. An R word for housing. Market. My head was like, man, that's a hard R word. What is it? Market participants seek assets with deep, non-correlated liquidity pools to execute large settlements without slippage. Non-correlated liquidity pools. Large settlements, global, large real estate. Yeah. XRP's established role in cross-border payments and its integration with institutional liquidity providers position it as a safe haven bridge currency. It's high ground. The tsunamis can't reach it. You left the beach when everyone else is sitting there pointing And like, wow, isn't it interesting that gas is so low right now? We're winning. Trump said gas will be low. We're winning. And I like MAGA more than any other, political thing. But if you're cheering that prices are low right now, you are standing on the beach when the water disappears, and you're clapping that it's so cool. You need to run. You need to run now. Recent market data indicates that over 2 billion in stablecoins have rotated out of congested networks like Ethereum towards alternative layer 1 ecosystems, specifically highlighting the XRPL. So now we are concerned about energy consumption because, once again, on purpose, like in 2019, the pandemic of policies, we are destroying supply chains on purpose. Like in California in 2019, I keep telling you, we destroyed all the supply chains. All the boats weren't allowed to dock. So they were just sitting off the coast of California by the dozens and hundreds. So they decided it's not worth it to, wait to unload. So they just dumped all their supplies into the ocean and went back to their country of origin to get another load and be like, California's retarded. So all these ships that have critical supplies for, a pandemic, they're just dumping their supplies into the bay, into the ocean. Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but that was the loudest thunder pop. I still got power, but that hit something. It was like the loudest shotgun blast of your life. Like everybody in this area is awake right now. Oh my God, that made me jump so much. Like I'm not scared of thunder, but like it wasn't a rumble. It was an explosive bomb shotgun. That was a weird one. That hit something for sure. Dang. Whew. But so we're looking for low energy consumption and native real world assets, RWAs, facilities, and the tokens. If you can't do that, you're not in the top 5 to 10. Your liquidity will be pulled from you. If what I just said, we're looking for low energy consumption and RWAs. If that's true, apply that to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is ridiculously high energy consumption, zero real world assets. By my definition, that puts Bitcoin not in the top 5 to 10 unless it fundamentally changes. Because right now it has no real world assets. It is high energy consumption. So by my definition and research, it does not make it into the top 5 and 10, which I think it will. So it's something else is going to have to happen. But you see at the same time, a large amount of all the Bitcoin miners around the world, they're switching over. They're either shutting down, or switching over to AI compute. So the smart money in AI mining, or in Bitcoin mining, the smart money is switching over to AI compute, or just shuttling their whole operation for something else, less risky. So energy, because we're destroying the supply chains again. That's where I was going with 2019. We're destroying intentionally through policy, destroying the supply chains. So energy consumption is going to be a very high concern for these tokens. Because the AI, the agentic economy is coming online. That's going to consume energy. And they're going to be spending cryptocurrency. And you want them to run efficiently. So they're going to want a currency that's fast, that has real world assets, and that's cheap. Cheap in the sense that it could be divided like into a drop. A millionth of a XRP is called a drop. So, and it's fast and it's low energy consumption. That's what AI agents are going to use. That's what institutions are going to use. So we're getting really granular right now. Really, and I want to kind of zoom out and focus back on the big picture again. So, and I think this is all happening like this year, but like this week. Like I, I wake up every morning like, is today today? Like at any moment, all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, overnight, like all of it could happen this morning at 9:30. Like when U.S. markets open, at any moment, this could happen. Like the pressure it's at maximum pressure right now. Every global market is at maximum explosion potential. I mean, we are here. The leverage is out of this world. Now the U.S. Treasury jumped in with Japan, and now we're putting more leverage on the not the Treasury, the Federal Reserve jumped in to sell European treasuries. So now Europe's in on this with the leverage, and that's making their currency less robust. And we're in with Japan on this. And we're leveraging the Federal Reserve, which I like because the Federal Reserve is, the heart of the demonic fiat hopelessness regime. The Federal Reserves is the main prison cell of the debt slavery system, and it's the third Federal Reserve. So I will cheer the day that it burns down and is destroyed like the intelligence agency into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the wind. That day is coming, maybe today. So we did the consolidation. We're going down to 5 to 10 high quality, low energy, RWA native tokens with deep liquidity, with giant buckets to catch this thousands of tsunamis that are about to erupt globally in every market. We're about 5 to 10 tokens. And maybe Bitcoin can catch some of that liquidity. But it does, I don't know. I was trying to think of an analogy using the tsunami and the beach narrative, but it's like standing on top of a sandcastle and calling it high ground. Like, no, 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 you got to keep running back, running away from the beach. Um, so the oil charts don't reflect reality right now. Supply chains are destroyed. Saudi Arabia is shipping zero oil. Saudi Arabia is exporting 0 barrels of oil. And the charts say that's totally fine. Disrupting global supply chains does not change anything in the price. The rules of supply and demand don't apply here, is what the charts are saying. Just like in the pandemic of policy in 2019, they changed all the definitions to where we don't care about infections anymore. We only care about cases, which is the PCR test, a laboratory confirmed test. And they all changed their definitions to ignore and not even look for infections. We don't care if you're sick. We care if you test positive because that's how the government gives us our money. The government doesn't give us our money if you're infected. It gives us the money if you are a test positive case. So that's why you see a lot of my videos. That's why we use the PCR test, because you could turn up the threshold cycle and make every case a positive if you want to. The inventor of the PCR test, Dr. Kerry Mullins, said if you turn up the threshold cycle, the CT, high enough, you could find anything in anything. And that's what we did. We found anything and anything. And then we made up this asymptomatic thing just so the government would give us more money because you're healthy and you feel fine, but you tested positive, so you must be asymptomatic. So sit in your house, stay out of the sun, and eat fast food. And that's how you stay healthy in 2019. So we're doing that again. We're destroying supply chains. The charts are all lying. So we don't have it's they're making it very difficult for the normal person to see reality because they see the charts, they see their gas like it's up a little. Yeah, I guess we're fighting a war for freedom and liberty, and we got to get the bad guys again. Forever wars because of fiat. Fiat's the only reason you could have ever wars, by the way. Once we get off the debt slavery based fiat system, forever wars disappear immediately. You know that, right? So, and that's this year. Forever wars are done this year. You hear that, Ukraine? All you NATO Nazis are about to go the way of the dinosaurs. SBI Holdings. So, okay. So now we're going to jump into what are these liquidity sinks I'm talking about? What is this bucket that's going to catch these thousands of tsunamis? Shut up, Sky. I got to go look at that in a minute. All right, we're at about an hour. I'm going to cover this and then I'm going to cut it because I'm getting hungry. And I took all my supplements, so I'm getting pumped right now. And I'm going to go lift some weights. Today is bicep and back day. My legs are, yesterday was legs day, and I could barely get out of bed. It was awesome. It was awesome. So, what is this liquidity sink? What can humans build that could catch thousands of tsunamis at once? So, here's some clues. Capital injection. SBI, which is an institute in Japan, Holdings committed 200 million as the anchor investor in Evernorth. Of course, I'm going back to Evernorth. Evernorth is the liquidity sink. It's the bucket that will catch the thousands of tsunamis, which is raising over 1 billion to build the world's largest institutional XRP treasury. This capital is not passive. It's not an ETF. It doesn't have a one-to-one relationship and just sit there and hope the asset goes up and that's how you make your profit. It is deployed to purchase XRP directly from the open market, removing float, increasing scarcity. So the liquidity sinks, as they activate, naturally cause a supply shock. And the supply shock increases the amount of the underlying asset, which benefits the liquidity sinks. And as liquidity sinks benefit, they have more money to buy more assets, which makes it more scarce, which benefits the liquidity sinks, which they deploy more. It's a flywheel feedback loop. I'm calling Evernorth a liquidity black hole. It's a force of nature. If you are not holding on to your XRP with two diamond hands and you're consciously aware that you will not relent, Evernorth will take your XRP from you. Maybe for a high price. Maybe you're like, okay, that's fine. I'll sell into fiat and become a debt slave again and pay the taxes on the debt slavery. Say thank you, ma'am, for making me a debt slave. That's your choice. But if you're not paying attention, Evernorth is a black hole that focuses only on XRP. It's a pure play institutional entity. So active treasury management. Unlike a standard ETF, Evernorth actively manages its treasury, holding over 473 million. That's going to double real soon. By engaging in institutional lending, liquidity provisioning, and DeFi yield strategies using RLUSD. That's T54 AI agents. That's pledging, unpledging, because XRP right now it's speculative and you could use it for payments and all that. It's going to become a pristine HQLA tier 1 collateral, a static collateral where XRP or Evernorth is going to hold it and never ever sell it or move it. It's going to be static, locked on the wallet and institutional custody. But what will happen is it will be pledged. Because XRP is the only true by merit tier 1. Gold doesn't fit the definition. Gold is tier 1 by proclamation, by policy. Gold identifies. It's the DEI of tier one. It's a good thing. It's a good asset, but it's not tier one. It's not doesn't fit the definitions. Same thing with treasuries, U.S. treasuries. They identify as tier one through policy, but they are not tier one through function and merit. They identify tier U.S. treasuries are the and gold are the DEI of tier one. XRP is true tier one by merit, by what it is. It is defined as a tier one. The only thing that is a tier one right now. This turns the treasury into a liquidity engine. It's hungry, hungry hippos for XRP. So it's generating institutional yield, which is different from retail yield. Retail will be able to stake their tokens, get a yield, and stuff like that. Evernorth will not stake their tokens, will not stake their XRP. That's for retail, because the Section 404 of the Clarity Act defines that institutions can do different things than what retail can with the same asset. Keep that in mind. That kind of makes an LLC important for XRP holders. All right, I'm getting kind of tired. But yeah, let's just end it on the 30,000 foot view that oil spikes. Once these oil charts, start to reflect reality, they will gap up. They will spike up in a violent rotation. There's going to be nothing nice about this. This is not consensual. This is a violent rotation of liquidity. There's nothing cool about pointing at when you're on the beach and you're pointing at the ocean, drawing back, and the whole coastline water disappears. There's nothing nice about that. Something violent is about to happen. Leave everything and run. Those of us who are into XRP, we see the liquidity drying up. We see the water being pulled back from the beach, from the shoreline. We see that. We are no longer standing on the beach. 99% of people are still standing on the beach. They're taking pictures of the water going away. They're watching Netflix sitting on the beach when the water disappeared. I advise against that. So the repatriation, that's the reverse carry trade. Oil will cause the reverse carry trade, repatriation of sovereign currency, which will cause a consolidation because of liquidity disappearing. The ocean is pulled back from the beach. That'll cause a consolidation into a top 5 to 10 tokens that have big enough buckets to catch the thousands of tsunamis that are coming at all the people at the beach. And the ones with the big enough buckets are called the liquidity sinks. And the liquidity sinks will hoover up the underlying asset, whatever it is. I believe XRP. And that'll cause a supply shock, which will make the liquidity sinks have a bigger bucket, which will cause more of a supply shock, which will cause them to have a bigger bucket. And over and over and over and over again, that's a flywheel. That's a force of nature. That's a galactic black hole. Evernorth will be a black hole, a hungry, hungry hippos, and that's focused only on hunting down XRP for institutional custody for the next 50,000 years. You will never see that XRP. It will not move. It will be static. It will be pledged and unpledged only. Borrow, lend, XLS 65, 66, and all these other new ones that are coming online, all, new adaptions. But that's what I see. I see people, the stock market is all-time highs every day, all-time highs. We're not producing anything. We're sinking, and there's 3 or 4 companies. or maybe, 10 companies, whatever, that are floating the entire stock market. That means run. That means get the heck out of whatever's happening now in the stock market. That is, you're shaking the box, and the box is ticking, and you're like, what could be in there? This box is ticking. Everyone's like, I don't know. Seems cool. It's kind of sparkly. It looks cool. Yeah, but why is it ticking? Put the box down and run. I don't know. People that are drawn to XRP, they could see this like there's no fog of war whatsoever. We could see that the water pulled back. The water pulled back means tsunami. Tsunami means destruction, collapse, haircuts across every vertical of every institution. So we're already like way offshore on the high ground. We're up on the mountain looking down like, dang, those people should get off that beach, man. And we can see the tsunami now because we have a high vantage point. It's on its way. Thousands of tsunamis. A sphere drop. A sphere drop. 1 million cubic meters per second. It's a geological term. Norwegian oceanographer. So much water, we needed a bigger word than tsunami, which is a sphere drop. It's like 1,000 tsunamis. That's what's coming towards us. And we're XRP holders are on the high ground. Anyways, that's what I researched this morning. That's what I think. Repatriation, oil spike goes to repatriation, goes to consolidation, goes to liquidity sinks, goes to supply shock, and it goes supply shock, liquidity sink, and that goes back and forth. That's a flywheel. And then the consolidation will, there'll be a second batch of tokens grown out of the new market. They'll be grown in the dirt of utility. They will have a function. They'll have real world assets native. They'll have low energy consumption. They'll have utility built in, layer one native. 99% of the current crypto tokens will be buried in this tsunami. These crypto tokens are on the beach right now. All the people that are diehard in any political, extreme, any political ideology, you're still on the beach. I recommend you kind of head to high ground. You can pick back up your religious political dogma anytime you want. For now, I say survive. The tsunamis are coming. They're on the horizon. Maybe today. And that's good news. That's good news. That's the death of the fiat Federal Reserve debt slave demonic control system. It has to be destroyed. And we could destroy it without a world war. That's what we usually do is a world war to keep the debt system going. This time we could move into assets that are actual tier one and actually have intrinsic value and merit by their function, by design. This is how we get off planet. This is how we go to other solar systems. It's time, everybody. Let's become sovereign, advanced beings and not debt slave monkeys. It's time. I love you guys. This has all been good news. This is not blackpilling. This has all been good news. Love you guys. Have a good morning.